as you look at page 20. So on page 20, we're going to be filling in our notes. I'm going to take that down. So as we look at page 20, we are looking at solving our system. So tomorrow is our quiz. We're going to talk about what's on the quiz. As you are taking a look up here, so the first method that we started this unit with is solving by graphing. When we were solving by graphing, we had parallel lines. So we are sometimes looking for that point of intersection. So we're going to looking on the quiz. You're going to have one where your points cross. This point of intersection is always going to be an x, comma, y. And the hint that I would tell some of you, and this is on page 20 that you guys are writing this, is that when you remember when you're graphing, is that the first one tells you left and right. The second number tells you up and down. If you have parallel lines, that means that we are looking at no solution. And if we have the same line, that means we are going to have infinitely many. So parallel lines means no solution. Same line means infinitely many. So you might see that on the quiz. And if you have a solution, it's going to be the point of intersection where those two cross. When we look at substitution, usually one equation we're going to give you is going to have an x equal or a y equals. You might need to solve, but I think on this quiz, you're just going to have either the x or y equals. You're going to substitute in that x for the y, find what it's equal, and solve it. Again, the key thing is you have to get both answers. You need to have x and y for your solution. Then you're going to find that, substitute in so that we find that ordered pair, both the x and the y. If it's a true statement, we are going to have infinitely many solutions. If it's false, it's going to be no solution. Same thing for that last one, right? When we are taking a look, if we have a true statement, that's our infinitely many. If we have a false statement, no solution. Now, the last method that we've been working on the last 2 days was when we are doing elimination. You line up both equations with like terms. Sometimes you might need to multiply by a number to get one eliminated. Then you add or you subtract. But keeping in mind when you subtract, a lot of times what you did was you multiplied by -1, that whole equation. Once you've eliminated one, then you have to substitute in back to one of the originals. So again, that answer is going to be x, y, as you take a look. We're reviewing for our quiz, when is each method method? Well, best use graphing. It's not good if you have to estimate, but when we're looking for an exact solution, sometimes graphing might not be the best way. Sometimes if you can use a graphing calculator, that's going to help you. If the equations are in slope-intercept form, which on the test, the quiz tomorrow, they will both be in slope-intercept form. And when you need a visual display, when would you use substitution? So at the end of this week, we're going to be doing story problems starting Wednesday and then Thursday, Friday. Substitution and elimination are going to be our main methods then. When you have at least one equation where you've solved for one variable. So if you have y equals or you have x equals, substitution's a perfect thing to use. It's easy. Sometimes it's not as easy as graphing. Some people like the substitution better than elimination. Some prefer elimination. Elimination is best when you have the set of variables lined up and they're easy to eliminate. That means opposite coefficients. That means like one's a positive 2y and a negative 2y. Those are super easy to eliminate because that's equal to 0. So they have the same number with opposite signs. Or it's easy to multiply one of the equations, and it's not that easy to graph them. So as we are looking at those. Your quiz on page 21 that you are filling in. So the quiz is Tuesday, tomorrow, 2/11, February 11th. 6 questions, as I am looking at yours, and I believe it is going to be 50. I can solve the linear system by graphing. You will get 3 points for each line that you graph, for the 2 lines that you graphed correctly. So this is where you're going to use the y equals mx plus b. When you are doing that, my hint on the quiz is, you might want to tell me, oh, this is 0b, where you're going to begin your graph. Then you might tell me the m is your rise over run. And this is where you might want to draw that face, right? Going, oh, positive slope goes up and negative slope goes down. It's probably not on your equation going to have a 0 slope. It is probably not going to have an undefined on that. It'll probably be one that you can actually draw the line, so that when I look at this rise over run, I want to make sure my line's going in the right direction. Solve by substitution. When you are solving that one, as you look at the substitution, again, 2 questions, 16 points. We're going to take a look at those in your review today. This is where you have to show me substitution. This is where you circled one of them. Like you had y equals, and then your second equation maybe was 2x plus 3, and this was y equal 4. And you're replacing that in here. The elimination, when you were doing elimination, that's when you were adding. So this is when you are looking at your homework, and I'm going to put some of those up today. Yesterday's assignment was all elimination. Some of them you had to multiply on that F8. I also am looking for most of you, if you did not turn in page 32 last week, I have quite a few of you that I was just looking at that I have to go on and do a below the line for missing work. So if I am looking at that, I had page 32 and 34 that I am looking for work from some of you. So if you have not done the work on 32 and 34, you haven't turned that in, you probably want to do those 2 before we take a look at the rest of the assignment. So the elimination is what we did the last 2 days on pick 4. My hint would be I do the first 3. You need to do 4 graphs. There's 6 of them. Any extra above and beyond that are going to be bonus, right? As you take a look at questions 4 through 11 on this page, 4 through 11, those are doing the substitution. So if you're thinking about this, this is when you circle something. So substitution is when you might have y equals, or maybe you had x equals that you circle, and then you go to the other equation and you put that in a parenthesis. So if I was looking at number 4 and I was going to do number 4, I might circle 1x plus 0, and then I might put a parenthesis here. And so now I'm going to write this exact equation, but on this side I'm going to put the 1x plus 0. Okay, so substitution. My answers should still be in ordered pair. In the substitution part of those 8 questions, I need you to do 5. You can choose whatever 5 you would like in questions 4 through 11. Do 5. Okay, there's 8 of them. I have a question. Hang on page 37, when you're looking at 15 to 22, you need to do 5. I don't care which 5 you choose. You can turn and look at the answers in the back. What if you do not finish this work to take the quiz tomorrow? You're taking the quiz. What if you haven't done 32 and 34? That's practicing the substitution and elimination. You're going to be taking the quiz. So as you are looking